Liam, are you ready?
Yes, Chair, we're ready.
Okay. In that case, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Sir, before I do the roll call, can I please swear in Mr. Hansel?
Yes, by all means. Please rise.
Stand up.
Raise your right hand and repeat after her.
I state your name.
I, Peter Hansel,
A citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
and being an officer of Pasco County,
and of being an officer of Pasco County,
do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
do hereby solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Florida.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Florida.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Welcome again.
Thank
Yes.
Thank you for your long service. Appreciate it. Glad to have you on the board again, still, I should say.
Mr. Jamie Girardi,
Here.
Mr. Peter Hansel,
Here.
Mr. John Moody,
Here.
Mr. Christopher Poole,
Here.
Mr. Chris Williams,
Here.
and Chairman Charles Gray.
Here.
Thank you.
And could we have proof of publication, please?
The items were published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 5th, 2022, October 19th, 2022, and November 23rd, 2022.
All right. Thank you. I don't believe we have any minutes. So, for those of you who are not familiar with the procedures here, let me go through it very quickly. We're the Planning Commission. We're appointed by the Board of County Commissioners, and we meet twice monthly. We serve as a local planning agency. We hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, and conditional use requests. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. Anyone is in opposition to any rezoning, development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission transmits a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important for you to attend the appropriate Board of County Commission meeting. For those of you not familiar with how the meeting runs, we have 3 segments. We have continuances, we have consent, and we have regular items. And it's been our custom to grant requests for continuances from the staff or the applicant, unless there are extenuating circumstances. Sometimes to a specific date, sometimes to a date unknown. We'll make you aware of those dates. And then we have a consent. The consent items, we'll go through those one at a time, and we'll bring up each one. If there's something on the consent agenda that you'd like to have discussed today, raise your hand and we'll pull it off for consent for discussion, and it'll go to the regular items. And regular items are things that somebody will be here to make a presentation, and the opportunity for questions and response will be available. So the applicants have 3 minutes to make their presentation, and the questioners have 3 minutes to state their concerns. Following the presentation, then the applicant will have an opportunity to come forward and respond, and they'll have 5 minutes to do that, unless there's been a request in writing at least 24 hours prior to this meeting. And Liam, I don't think we have any requests, do we?
We have no requests.
Okay, thank you. So for those of you who have cell phones, which is probably everyone, this is the opportunity to put it in a silent position. I'll check my own. And just before we start the regular meeting, is there anyone here that is here for something other than what we're going to speak today on with regard to the agenda? Anything that's not on the agenda, is there someone here to speak? If not, we'll move forward with the agenda. So if you plan to come up and give testimony today, if you will stand and raise your right hand and be sworn. All right, thank you. Mr. Devine? Oh, Roberto.
Hello, good
Good to see you.
afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commission. Thank you. And today we have 9 public hearing cases, and if I may request to go a little bit out of order, we have received a request for item P11 to be withdrawn.
Okay, so that requires no further action, right?
Correct. This is the zoning amendment for a regular item, Apple Enterprises Trust, Paul M. Desi and Mary Clementine Stapper, TTEE Catfish Townhomes, changing zoning from an AR agricultural residential district to R2 low density residential district to an MF1 multiple family medium density district located south central Pasco County, northeast corner of Catfish Lake Road and Camp Indian Head Road, containing approximately 16.52 acres. And this item is PDD 237664.
All right. Was there anybody here to speak on this application? Okay, just in case you are, it's been withdrawn, so.
Thank you.
All right, great, thank you.
Next, we go with the continued items. We have PC1, which is a zoning amendment for Angel Senior Living MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, ASL SR 54 Real Estate LLC. This is a rezoning request for AR Agricultural Residential District, R4 High Density Residential District, and C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to allow the development of a maximum of 180,000 square feet of commercial and 181,000 square feet of residential treatment and care facilities on approximately 31.77 acres. PDD item PDD 237606.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant present? Okay. Go to the next one.
Next one is PC2, which is also a zoning amendment. It's also continued. I'm sorry, the last item is continued to the January 5th, and so is this item, January 5th continuance, for Margie A. Tingy, change in zoning from C3 Commercial Light Manufacturing District to a C2 General Commercial District in central Pasco County on the south side of State Road 52, approximately 0.5 miles east of Mirada Boulevard, and containing approximately 9.82 acres. PDD item 237678.
All right, is the applicant present? No objection to the continuance? Right, okay.
And the next continuance is to a date uncertain for a conditional use for Gulf Vision 2 LLC Verizon Wireless for a 145-foot above ground level monopole wireless communication facility at an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District, South Central Pasco County, on the south side of Lexington Oaks Boulevard, approximately 435 feet east of War Admiral Drive, and PDD item 23-CU05.
All right, and is the applicant present on that one?
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment, please? I'd like to make sure that that continuance and that meeting will be held on the east side of the county here in Dade City on that particular one.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll, when we make the motion, we'll come back and
Okay.
deal with that, okay? All right, so what date is that?
That's a date uncertain,
Uncertain, okay.
and those are all the continuances we have.
Okay. So now do I have a motion to approve the consents?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only discussion I had is on PC 3 to make sure it's held here in Dade City. I've heard through the grapevine that it might be on the 20th of December. I'm not sure, but
We'll
Okay.
annotate that. Thank you.
So, can you add that to your motion?
Yeah, so added.
Okay. So it's added to the motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay.
Thank you. Next, we go to our consent items. And we have PC4, which is a zoning amendment for his native family, Rev Living Trust, James Adele, and TTES Chancery Road. The change in zoning from AR Agricultural Residential District to MF1 Multifamily Medium Density District in the southeast Pasco County on the southeast corner of the intersection of Chancery Road and Diana Drive, containing approximately 30.18 acres. PDD 237675 is that PDD item.
All right. Is the applicant present? Okay. Go ahead.
The next one is PC5, which is another zoning amendment for the Gateway Pasco Venture LLC, changing zoning from C2 General Commercial and C3 Commercial Light Manufacturing District to a C2 General Commercial District, South Central Pasco County, on the north side of Dayflower Boulevard, approximately 215 feet west of Oakley Boulevard, containing approximately 4.71 acres. PDD 237676.
All right. Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object?
Mr. Chair, I want to disclose, I've spoken to council just to get clarification on what the request was.
Okay. So noted. All right.
Next item is PC6, zoning amendment for Richard Rodriguez and Cynthia Cruz. Change in zoning from an AR1 agricultural residential district and RMH mobile home district to a R2 MH rural density mobile home district. Southeast Pasco County on the south side of Valley Brook Avenue, approximately 340 feet west of South Brook Avenue, containing approximately 0.63 acres. This item PDD 237677.
All right. Is the applicant present? Okay. Anyone here to object? Okay.
Next item is PC7. It's a conditional use request for Channelside Mortgages LLC, 8443 New York Avenue, for a conditional use for multifamily dwelling at C2 General Commercial District, Southwest Pasco County, south side of New York Avenue, approximately 525 feet east of Diagonal Road, containing approximately 12.08 acres. And item PDD 23CU07.
All right. And the applicant's present? Anyone here to object?
I'd like to hear the case if we can.
Okay. So we're going to pull that one. That's PC7.
Yes, sir.
And that will go on to the regular items. Okay.
And the next one, we have a PC8, which is a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 2220, 2 rivers, 3 acres, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map, MAP 2-15 and sheet 23, from Res 3, Residential 3 dwelling units per acres to a PD planned development on a 3-acre of real property located northeast of Gall Boulevard, approximately 0.7 miles from State Road 56 intersection with Gall Boulevard to the southwest of the parcel, and a map amendment to the future land use map 2-9, modifying sub-area map 2-911 Two Rivers, and this is PDD 230030.
All right.
Mr. Chair, can you pull this one? I have a couple questions.
Okay, we'd like to pull the PC 8.
And I've also spoken to applicant's counsel about the nature of the request.
Okay. All right.
And the next item is on consent is PC 9. It's a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 2217, Anclote River, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 17, from Res 6 residential 6 dwelling units per gross acre to PD plan development on approximately 2.57 acres of real property located on the east side of Bailey's Bluff Road, and a map amendment to the future land use map 2-9, amending sub-area map 2-941, Anclote Resort, a Trade Winds Resort, and this is PDD 230031.
And the applicant's present? Okay.
And again, I've spoken with applicant's counsel about the nature of this request.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
And I believe those are all the consent items.
Okay. So we have two items that have been pulled from the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the amended consent
I'd like to
agenda?
ask if we can add something to the consent agenda, and that'd be item P10, if there's no one here to object.
Okay. Item
There is
10.
no one registered to object to this item, and I would also state there is no one registered on WebEx in any opposition for any of the items before you today.
We previously voted unanimously to approve the comp plan amendment, and so did the DOCC.
Okay, is the applicant for P10 here? Is there anybody here to object? See no objections?
Could you just do that by motion, please, to add it to the consent agenda?
I'll move to place item P10 on the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further
Should I-
discussion?
Would you like me to read it into the record, the item?
Yeah, go ahead and read it in the record, please.
So this item is P10, which is a zoning amendment, which is High Ridge Center lots 2 and 3, changing zoning from I-1 Light Industrial Park District to a C2 General Commercial District, West Central Pasco County, on the south side of Ridge Road, approximately 280 feet of Galen Wilson Boulevard, contain approximately 3.47 acres, and this is PDD 237673.
All right, and I know the applicant's present, and there's nobody here, other persons to discuss. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Well, you might as well just do the whole consent, it's part of the consent agenda.
right.
So.
Okay, I thought you wanted two separate motions.
No, I just wanted a
Okay.
motion to get it on the consent agenda, now you can
Okay.
do it all as one motion.
All right, so let's restate your motion.
Did we vote on
Did we vote on that first motion, though? That's the only
Yeah, we had to
question.
vote on it. Okay,
I don't-
so you already added it to the consent agenda, or no?
We just didn't vote on that.
We didn't vote
Oh,
on
okay,
it.
I'm sorry, then you just need to finish that vote.
Okay,
I was confused, I'm sorry.
that hardly
Sometimes
ever
we have to
happens.
correct you, Ken. It's all right. Go
Okay.
ahead and vote on adding it to the consent agenda.
So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a
And just,
motion?
well, for clarity, could
with the
somebody
addition?
summarize what's still on it? Because we did take two.
Yeah, let's
votes.
itemize it.
Yes, sir. That would be
Thanks, David.
items PC4, PC5, PC6, PC9, and now P10.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion
I will
to
second.
approve the consent agenda as amended. Do we have a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries.
All right, so we'll go back to item PC7. Is that you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Liam Devine, Planning and Development. Item PC7, PDD 23-CU07, in the name of Channelside Mortgages LLC /8342 New York Avenue. It is a conditional use request for multifamily dwelling units in a C2 general commercial district. The subject site is currently located on the south side of New York Avenue, approximately 525 feet east of Diagonal Road. Here is an aerial view of the property. The surrounding future land use to the north is IL, to the east and west is both ROR, and to the south is Res 6 and ROR. The surrounding zoning to the north is AR and C2, to the east and west is both C2, and to the south is R2. The subject site is currently vacant and was previously used as a driving range and restaurant on approximately 12.08 acres. The applicant is requesting a conditional use for multifamily dwelling units in a C2 general commercial district. The applicant proposes to develop the property with 84 townhomes in conformance with the MF1 multifamily medium density district standards for development. The surrounding area is characterized by commercial and residential development, and the subject site has a future land use classification of ROR under the comprehensive plan. Here is the conceptual view of the site. And this is coming with a recommendation for approval with conditions from Planning Development Department.
All right, if somebody asked to have that pulled, was that you,
I did.
John?
Question for staff.
Okay.
I had talked to Brad just before the meeting, and David, I'd like your input. If we approve the conditional use for these townhomes, are they obligated to use the conditional use and development of the property? In other words, are they obligated to develop this property as townhomes? Because the zoning is still going to remain C2.
So they're not obligated to enact their conditional use. So they were not obligated to have the townhomes there. So if they wanted to come in under C2 and develop as C2, they would be able to do that.
And could they split the baby and develop a portion of the parcel as C2 and a portion as townhomes?
Yes.
The only thing I would caution you on that part, Liam, is that the conditional use has a density cap, which was based on the acreage. So to clarify Liam's point, I'm not sure they get the same level of density that's in the conditional use if they split the baby. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that.
So
The point is they can develop a mix of townhomes and C2 uses if we approve this conditional use.
I think they could, but we'd have to sort of re-examine the conditions and maximum density under the conditional use because, like I said, I don't think they're going to get 84 units. There may be a way to get 84 units, maybe it's vertically integrated or something, but if the commercial use is taking up some of the acreage, that may affect their unit count.
I understand.
Right.
But generally, I agree with Liam that just because you get a conditional use approval doesn't mean that you're precluded from doing what the underlying zoning allows.
They'd have to come in for a new site plan approval, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, David.
But that wouldn't come back here.
That would not come back here.
That's strictly
Yes.
site plan approval.
You're basically
Correct.
saying that you're okay with this site potentially being multifamily under the conditions the staff has recommended?
Up to those number of dwelling units.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is one of the conditions.
Yes.
There's a cap on the number of
And
units.
what my concern is that we may be going into a period of residential slowdown and we get a portion of these townhome units developed and then it becomes beneficial to the owner of the remainder of the property to sell it off for C2 uses, which would then maybe possibly incompatible with the townhomes.
I'm confused on your question. What was your question?
It's not a
Oh,
question,
okay.
it's comment. that's what the nature of my concern is.
So your concern is that multifamily townhomes next to C2 commercial district could be not compatible
Could
with
be
each other?
not compatible, and this would allow for that incompatibility to potentially exist. I'm not saying it's going to exist, and I'm not saying that these people have any devious intentions here. I believe that they intend to develop it as townhomes, but I see it as a possibility, so I'm questioning the vehicle by which we're doing this.
Okay. So you're saying that you'd prefer if it was an MF zoning?
Perhaps, and Mr. Tippin suggested that my concern could result in a nice mixed-use development, which I wouldn't be opposed to either, but C2 uses might not be appropriate with residential uses, whereas C1 uses might.
Well, you probably should let the applicant make a
Sure,
presentation.
absolutely. And I'll make it clear, I'm not opposed to townhomes being developed on this property.
Okay, if you can state your name and address,
Yeah,
please.
no problem. Good afternoon, Jesse Blackstock with Blackstock Engineering Unlimited, at 1646 West Snow Avenue, Tampa, Florida. But rather than giving a presentation, I think we just go straight to the issue at hand. I mean, I'm an engineer.
Excuse you, you said your name was Jesse?
Jesse Blackstock.
Okay, and
Sorry.
have you been sworn?
I have,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
I was gonna say, I'm representing the applicant and landowner. They're here in tow with me. We were obviously answering questions to ourselves while you were asking questions. So the intent would be to do one or the other. So there's no intent to have commercial out front or with townhomes in the back. It would either be all C2 or all MF1, and MF1 specifically being townhomes.
Right, and I don't want
Not
you to read
apartments.
in that I'm accusing you or making
No,
the
we understand the
accusation that
question.
I'm trying to do that. What I'm saying is that the case allows for a potential for that to happen.
Understood. I think the main reasoning behind doing a conditional use is we get here a lot faster than we would if we were doing a rezoning. If we were
Right.
rezoning,
No, I
a lot more
understand that.
steps involved, and it just gets us to the goal line a lot quicker. So that's the intent. So if there's a condition that needs to be written in, we actually have no concern with that. If there's one able to be written in, that was either one or the other. So,
I mean, so you could, it is a conditional use, so you could condition it on there not being commercial uses unless they're in a vertically integrated mixed-use form, and that is something the planning commission has the authority to do.
You can condition it on being either or.
But I think what I'm hearing the Commissioner Moody say is that he wouldn't have an objection to retail uses if it was vertically integrated with the
It
residential.
doesn't
zone.
necessarily have to be vertically integrated. I just don't think it's appropriate that we have, a paint and body shop next to the townhomes. But if we had a butcher baker or a candlestick maker there, maybe that would be appropriate.
Mhm.
Well, a body shop is probably not gonna vertically integrate with multifamily, so I mean, you effectively your
No,
objection
but
would be.
they're not under any obligation to develop this property and plan it as 84 townhomes. They can come in here next week and file a site plan for a plat of 42 townhomes and reserve the rest for commercial development. There's nothing in this CU that obligates them to develop this as townhomes. So I'm saying that if there's the potential that it could end up with some mixed
So
use,
you
that
could,
we
then you
limit
could,
the.
you could impose a condition that said, if developed residentially, any retail uses shall be limited to C1 uses or something. I mean, you
That would
could,
be where I'm going, yes.
okay, then you, that's a condition that you could impose if the applicants agree with it.
we are, that's fine. Well, our intent is to build one or the other, but that's fine if we need to put that in there. Word as such. Yeah.
That seems to solve the problem. Okay? And you're good with it?
We're good with that, as long as we stick with C2 if we do 100% C2. I mean, that's the, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
that's the, I
the
mean, I think the
wording I
concern
said
is the mixture of the two being
I
on
said
top of
if
each other. I
it's-
totally
yeah,
understand what you're
That's
asking.
why I said in my wording, if developed residentially.
Bingo.
My
Yeah.
personal opinion is this a better C2 site or C3 site than it is for townhomes, but
It's a large site for 12 acres. Yeah, you could put a public supermarket there probably on 12 acres, but a little more traffic than 84 townhomes.
Yeah, it's a little deep for Publix and narrow.
yes, it's narrow and deep, and it's next to a, recycling operation with an air curtain incinerator out there.
And I hear Publix is opening body shops now, so.
Vertically integrated.
In the
ones,
liquor
correct,
stores.
yeah.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. So if you do townhomes. I didn't see are there any transportation improvements you'll need to make?
Not that I'm aware of. We're under the threshold for
Sure.
a trip generation because it's only 84 units at this point for the 50, but of course that'll be, I'm sure, discussed during site plan review
Okay.
with the Sans group, I'm sure.
Okay.
As far as maybe a potential for a turn lane or something, but it all based on traffic on.
Because I think you
New York.
said it'd probably be lower than what.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
yeah.
thing. I mean, 12 acres at C2 is an intense amount
Sure.
of square footage and potential trips, but that would definitely probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so, is there anyone here to object? Do you have anybody else to speak on your end?
No.
No, okay,
Thank you, Bill.
thank you. Anyone else here that's here to object or ask questions? If not, then I'd like to hear a motion.
I will move to approve item PC, I'm sorry, it's PC seven, with the condition that if it is developed with any commercial uses in conjunction with residential uses, that those be C1, limited to C1 uses.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Liam, are you okay with that, how that was stated, or you want to say something?
I have a clarification question. So when you say C1 uses, so C1 to C2 is a waterfall district. So C1 permitted uses and C1 special exception uses are then allowed in C2. So when you say C1 uses, are you, since it is C2?
C1 allowable use.
So the permitted
Permitted
uses only?
uses.
Okay, that's just my
Not
clarification.
special exception or conditional use?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. All right, so we have a motion. I think we understand the motion. We have a second, right? Any further discussion of the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, motion carries. You good? And PC 8. I think, John, was that you too?
No.
David?
That was me.
Oh, that was David.
I can ask my question if,
Okay.
I don't know who the staff person is. Okay. So this is really just a clarification question because the write-up says that the MPUD designates this parcel as residential parcel G. But then the write-up also says that it's, I think, going to commercial. So I'm not really clear on whether, is it going to residential or commercial? Because it just says PD, so I don't know what that means. And then, is there gonna be, if it's going to commercial, is there gonna be a corresponding amendment to the MPD? I can't tell from the way this is written out.
Yes, hi. Brian Junker here
Well,
with
Mr.
Monroe
Hobby
School.
maybe will answer, he may be able to help you, he's right behind you, but if you can't answer.
Yeah. To my understanding, it's going to plan development to allow for the commercial
Just before
uses.
you get too far, I didn't hear you, but maybe you gave us your name and address.
I'm a employee county. My name is Brian Junker. I'm with the Long Range Planning Department.
Good, good. I'll have to make sure, because sometimes it's hard for them to understand what, who they're trying to translate. So go ahead.
Okay. So this is permitting to go into a plan amendment to allow for future commercial development on parcel G, but I also have the applicant here that she can also talk more in depth into that if you wish to hear more details about it.
Yeah, it's really just to clarify, what's unclear to me is whether there's going to be another amendment to the MPD to change it to commercial or not, because this just says there's no proposed changes to the existing entitlement, so that leads me to believe the MPD is not changing, which makes no sense to me because it's residential currently.
Clark Hobby, Hobby and Hobby, PA, 109 Northwest Street, Tampa, Florida, have been sworn. So David, this is a two-part deal. I think you're correct. We're not trying to create something that's inconsistent with the comp plan. The whole point is it's a small triangular piece on 301 right by the jail, and we don't think it's a good residential parcel, but it was a weird scenario in that it was included within the MPUD and labeled as a residential parcel because it had Res 3, but it's the only parcel that the Legacy Two Rivers owner didn't include within the PD, future land use, that's on the whole ranch. So we're taking it into the PD, and it's gonna be labeled commercial on the MPUD map when the MPUD non-substantial mod is done.
Okay,
right
then I
after
think
this.
that's all that's missing from your write-up is a statement that there will be amendment, whatever it is, substantial.
There was something in there, but I grant you, it could have been a little bit clearer. There was one statement, I thought it was at the bottom of page 1 or on page 2, but yes, understood. There's a companion. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I think we probably need to eliminate the last sentence at the bottom of the first paragraph under
No
background.
change to the existing entitlements, which leads me to
Right.
believe you're not changing the MPUD.
Yeah. I think here's what's confusing for everybody. When we take it into the PD, we're not increasing any of the entitlements that exist within the PD itself. So that's what I think Brian was trying to say. It's very confusing when you don't know all the ins and
I
outs.
think if you just-
We'll clarify
if you
it.
add a statement that you're gonna change the MPD to make it commercial.
Right.
That's what's missing.
We can do that.
Also, another comment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look like Barbara Willoughby.
I don't know.
That was the nature of my ex parte communication.
Yeah, that's why John texted Barbara and she texted me this morning. So yes,
It does
we'll
say
correct
application
that.
Barbara Wilhite, so who's handling?
It's me. Yeah, it was just a typo. I think that was on a legacy small scale would be my guess.
I want to correct that too.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks.
That was the most important one, right?
Yes. I'm fine with the amendment, I just had that question. So.
Okay. All right. So if there's no further clarification needed, then we have a motion.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign for nay. Motion carries.
Just for clarification, does Barbara get to invoice for that?
Both of them.
Motion to approve, to adjourn?
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.